What up, y'all? Welcome to the season finale of Let's Talk More Action Golf. I'm your host, Luke Josepha, and I know what you're thinking. Wow, all this time has already gone by? Yep, we've had several episodes that you could listen to. But before I get you into a recap, I just want to say that it's been an incredible journey for me. And we're closing out the season with a bang. We've had unforgettable conversations, inspiring stories, and game changing insight from some of the most fascinating people in the world of golf. And as we wrap up season one, I want to take a moment to look back of some of those conversations. Let me do a quick rundown for you. When we first started, we kicked things off with JD from 7 Iron Golf, who shared his vision for bringing premium golfwear to everyone. And let me tell you, this man put styles on you on the golf course, making style on the course accessible to everyone. Then we talked to Paul from Lombardi Golf, who talked to us about creating top-notch equipment at a fair price. And he also shared some personal stories about our connection. Then we jumped in. We went on the West Coast. We talked with Fairway Mike and Quinn the Brown Bomber from Club and Holes. And let me tell you, these guys, their passion for elevating the game of golf is going so high. I mean, when I tell you, I've never heard trash talking while I'm watching good swing the way that these guys do it. Then we talked with Angela Reynolds of Forest Golf about bringing fresh insight into making golf fashionable, accessible. And then we jumped in. We talked with Wayne from Low Fade Golf and Jason from Scarcard Picks. And we talked about building a sense of community on the course. And because I enjoyed that conversation about community building so much, I jumped in and had a conversation with Matt and John from No Bunkers, No Bogeys, who are fostering an inclusive golf community with the vision to spread love globally. And most recently, one of my favorites, I had a conversation with Meg the golfer, who shared a perspective on playing golf with joy and mindfulness. To everyone, more than 200 of you who've downloaded and subscribed to the podcast, I am incredibly grateful for your support. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. But listen, don't think for a second that we're slowing down, because season 2 is coming. And let me tell you, season 2 is going to be even better than the first one. Grab your clubs and get comfortable as we dive into my conversation with Norman Carter on the season finale of Let's Talk More Action Golf.
I started golf at the age of 7 in a little town of Port Arthur, Texas. My dad was a golfer. My uncle was a golfer. And I just kind of got out there just to spend time with my dad and started playing the game and played it ever since. I played baseball, football, ran track, just an athlete, taught martial arts for about 12 years. But mainly my passion was always golf, because golf is an individual sport. Unlike team sports, I couldn't blame no one if we didn't win. If I didn't win. So it gave me control. I didn't like having people dictate if I was going to play in the game or not. When it came to football, it was up to the coaches to decide who's better for this play or that play. I had felt like I was always a person that wanted to feel like I was in control of a certain situation. So that's why I ended up sticking with golf.
From what I'm reading, golf is quite possibly one of the most unpredictable sports around, right? Because you hit the ball and you're hoping that it does what you want it to do.
Yeah.
And, factoring all those unknown factors beyond our control, wind, humidity, all that stuff that's in the atmosphere. So how has that aligned with your idea of what control is, knowing that once you hit the ball, it's out of your control?
There's not much you can do about once the ball's in the air. I mean, but preparation and planning and just practicing. Uh, I feel as though the game of golf is not that complicated once you uh, develop a certain level of consistency and persistence in what you're doing. It's kind of like anything else. It's like football. You don't know. In martial arts, I used to tell kids, when you're training, you're only training for a situation. You're never training an actual situation because you don't know how you're going to be attacked or where the attacker is or when it's coming. You can only prepare yourself for the future. And that's the same thing with golf. You go out, you hit balls, you learn to understand and put yourself in situations and practice so that when the time comes, you can kind of have a better idea and have a higher percentage of knowing what you're possibly going to do. And that's with all athletes, with almost any sport we play. We kind of set our mindset to where we want to be or what we want to do. And if we think we're the best, more likely you're going to be really good.
When I first started playing, I used to be really keen about practice. And when I say practice, I mean being on the range. My plan when I first started was 4 days on the range, 1 day on the course. But now, the more that I play, it's reverse. I want to spend all my time on the course and very little time on the range. Like even nowadays, when I think about practice, I get on the course and I said, okay, I'm going to practice this shot to see how it is. Like, is there any sort of like maybe maybe the question I'm really asking is how important is in terms of ratio, right? Practice to playing, how important is practice in improve on the range in improving someone's game?
I didn't have a driving range growing up. So I did practice. I did a lot of playing. And playing is way far better for any golfer than practicing
Mm.
to get to the next level because again, it's like martial arts. Again, it relates to martial arts. You can never practice a situation. You have to put yourself in a multiple situations playing the game, and then you learn to get through those shots. But practice comes in when you have to go out and hit balls so that you can be consistent about contact. You can't play golf at a high level and go to hit a 5 iron or just say a 6 iron and you need to hit it 75 yards, but you want to run it up underneath the tree and you go to hit it and you hit it fat and you only hit it 2 yards. Then you just lost a stroke. Uh, you have to know that you're going to make contact, that the contact is going to be with control and direction. But playing is the fastest way to improve. But also not just playing, but learn to score. So you play from the forward tees. Most golfers that begin the game of golf want to go out and they want to play from the back tees. I still, to this day, sometimes go up and play on the green tees. I go all the way up to the women tees and play because I want to get my mindset and used to making birdies and pars. And that's the way you do it. We did it that way in college. I know professional players that still do it today. I'm not only one of them, but I know several that still do it because it opens up you to build up that confidence level of, yep, I'm making birdies left and right because you should be.
I'm hearing you saying use the ladies' tees or the forward tees in order to build confidence into your game before you move back. And I think I've always been afraid of doing that simply because I guess the people that I started playing with in the very beginning, it was something that was frowned upon to play from the ladies' tees.
Men have that big old ego, and that's why women, and I won't do men group lessons. I mainly do uh, individual lessons at a time because of egos and testosterone and everything else with the males. But with women, they're a little bit more easier to teach because they're not about just trying to bomb the ball. They want to score. And that's why most women golfers are actually better than men golfers when it comes to accuracy and just to some degree. If you watch women players on TV, you never see them hitting the ball in too many awkward places. They're usually down the middle and just, they're not very long, but they're very consistent.
How'd you get into instructing for golf specifically?
Well, that came with during my collegiate days. When I was playing collegiate golf in Mississippi, our coach would have us do clinics, and we would have to do clinics probably every semester. We'd do a clinic or two, and we'd work with junior golfers in the area, put on trick shots. So I used to perform a certain level of trick shots, teaching kids how to hit the golf ball, how to putt. So that's how I got started with it, really teaching. And then throughout the years of just trying to play professional golf and being certified and to teach.
So what is your approach as an instructor?
Yeah, my approach is, first of all, I want to get to know the individual, and it depends on the individual of where they want to go with golf, or what where they see themselves with golf. They're quite naturally, if I'm dealing with someone who's 50 years old, I know they're not trying to play the tour, so I'm going to have a different mindset. I'm not saying that they can't be a good golfer, but I know they're not trying to play at the professional level. Versus if I'm dealing with a 7-year-old kid, then I'm going to give them a little bit more of a stern regiment workout plan to get better if they want to get to the very, very next level. And then as they progress, if they stay with me for 5 or 6 years, or come see me every 2 years, or however they want to do it, then I want to know what their goals are, because then therefore for every person is different. I mean, but I do not try and change a person that already has been around the game a long time. Just even for a short period of time, if they have good fundamentals and a good foundation, then you work around. But but you have to have a solid foundation in order to just build from.
What's your approach with someone who's been playing maybe for like 6 months and they've built some bad habits, and they're coming to you for support?
So 6 months, I figured at 6 months, you haven't really been playing. You're introduced to the game. You've probably been out on the golf course 2 or 3 times.
Mm.
You haven't done enough to get yourself in that bad of a shape as far as muscle memory. So what I would do is, again, it depends on the individual. How old are they? What are their goals? Because you can have someone that has only been playing 6 months, but they're 23 years old. But he could still make the senior tour if he wanted to, but at about 50. I mean, you're talking about, 27 years. He could be a great golfer, a wonderful golfer. He could be as good as Tiger, maybe. But reality is that he probably won't, because he's probably starting a family. So every situation is different. I approach every situation understanding that like I said, the golfer and what their goals are. But if he's 6 months into it, and let's just say he's a beginner, he's never had a golf club in his hand before, I'm going to probably start him off with putting. I'm going to go back and just say, hey, let me see you putt a little bit. Because everything starts, if you think about golf in this aspect, when you putt, you're moving a putter in a pendulum motion. And pendulum is just straight back and forward, right? And when you get in a proper position, you have a little bit of tilt, you have knees bent, eyes over the ball. You learn to keep your head still. It's the most important thing in putting, to hit solid putts, is keeping your head still. Then once you go farther back and you work away from the green, you go to chipping. Chipping is what? The same setup as putting. It's just a little bit of a swing. But the grip is almost the same. You can use the same grip for putting and chipping. And so the swing is built backwards from putting all the way back.
Wow, I really like that. I've never heard that before, in terms of like working it backwards to start with putting.
You don't want to get out and just start pounding drivers right away. because it's such a bigger art and a lot more movement. And if you can get a person to understand the movement, the shifting of the weight from, loading up the right side to unloading, covering the ball, those type of things. It's just the fundamentals, basic fundamentals, but it's very important if you're going to try and build to be a high level golfer.
Yeah. So speaking of drivers, I played Saturday at Gus Wortham. And the first time since I started playing, I used my driver and I was on the fairway 18 times the entire time. Like the entire round, I would hit the fairway every time I pull out my driver. So I'm grateful to you for that because before you, I was slicing the ball left and right, left and right. What was your thought process when you were seeing me hitting the driver, and what did you think? Like, what brought up helping me to understand how to properly do the backswing in order to help with my driver?
You're not a bad driver of the ball at all. Um, you have really good, solid uh, fundamentals. Uh, so I knew that uh, ball striking for you is not going to be hard. It's just a few minor things that you needed to work on, but you just need to hit balls to be a little bit more repetitive, a little bit more consistent with what you're doing.
When you were teaching me, what did it for me is the wrist movement that you were like, as you taking the ball away, if you hold it my left hand, right, you guided me on my left hand where it needed to be relating to the ball. Like that changed the whole thing because I think I went home and I kept thinking about it and processing that, and I practiced. Like, and I think what you were saying, you like, don't worry about the ball, just practice holding your driver in the correct way. And that, for me, was the game changer.
Yeah.
That was the game changer. And I really, truly appreciate that. Now, if only, my next step is performance anxiety because I was hitting like on average, like I was at least 100 or maybe 120 from the flag after hitting the driver on par fours and fives. And then when I get there, I'm so excited. I mess up the approach shot. So I just need to I think for me, it's just, I need to work on performance anxiety, like get comfortable with, oh yeah, I'm doing really well. How often do you take on students? Like, is that something, you're really mindful of, or you're just taking on everyone who comes in?
No. So actually, at one time I was teaching, I guess some 25 years ago, 30 years ago, I taught off of Beltway 8 on Wallanceville at a driving range over there for a while. And I taught anyone that came because I was just working part-time at the driving range. But I'm a very selective guy. I don't just take on all students. I just don't have the time to. I have a daughter who's 17 years old. She plays golf. She's a ranked golfer, nationally ranked as well as state ranked. Have gotten letters from Stanford University, Duke. That she's a really good golfer and academically a scholar. But so a lot of my time is devoted to her and her game, and she's a senior this year, and so we do a lot of traveling. And I'm traveling next week, and as well as this week. So I don't try and get. I have 4 students counting you right now that I teach.
Okay.
So I want to do this full time. It's not a income for me. It's a passion. I love watching people get better, but I don't have the time to do it full time.
So one thing that stood out for me when we first started is that you were insistent on not having lesson every week. You were like, nope, I'm going to teach you something this week. Take a couple of weeks, practice, live through it, and then let's come back for something else. Is that for me? That's uncommon. I've had lessons with folks where it was like sometimes twice a week. Where did that grow for you? Like, what made you want to do that instead of just having people on every week?
So my one of the pros that I grew up under, he was a All-American NCAA champion, Hall of Famer in Beaumont. One of the best golfers I've ever known that never turned pro. Could have played professionally, but didn't have the luxury of wanting to live out of a suitcase. He just didn't.
Okay.
But they owned a bunch of golf courses. They built golf courses, him and his father. And the things that they told me and showed me, and they said, listen, you never need to get lessons daily. Now, plus or minus that, it depends on the individual. If you have a 13-year-old kid and he's trying to play on the tour, and he knows he wants to go on the tour and he's really good golf, then there's nothing wrong with him seeing an instructor twice a week. But that's the most he really needs to see the instructor. He could see him every day if his pockets are deep enough and he just wants to spend the money. But there's nothing else he's going to really be able to share with him other than the fact that just standing there saying, yep, you're doing it right. Yep, you're doing it right. It's just a repetitive thing. And then he just wants him there for reassurance. That's one thing. But there's not much of anything. Once he tells him or shows him what he needs to do to get him to do whatever it is he's trying to do, then what's the point? I think most instructors, I know I'm going to get some heat for this one, but I know instructors that have really taken people to the bank for just because they tell you, oh yeah, and people go see them daily. I know people that pay up to $500 an hour for a lesson. I know people that charge $500 an hour if you want to pay that. I don't think that lessons should be that expensive, just like I don't think golf should be that expensive. But golf has a way of driving certain people away. I had a conversation with some people the other day. This is kind of off what you're talking about, but since I'm on that, but your junior golfers, for example, are not given a fair share of compensation, I guess is the word to use. That when I came up as a junior golfer, I never paid to play golf. From the time I was 7 years old till I was 21 years old, I never paid for a round of golf. But then I finished college and started to get ready to play the tour. I had to, except in my hometown, I could play free, but everywhere else I pretty much had to pay. And here in Houston, every junior golfer, even my daughter, has to pay to play golf somewhere. So, and if you're paying anywhere from $50 to $150 around, how many kids can afford? How many parents? Yeah. And people that say that they love the game of golf and want to preserve the game of golf for junior golfers, is most of them are full of crap. The reason I say that is because they're not doing it. You don't. They have a thing called youth on the course. You pay, any kid can pay $5 and play most golf courses. In Texas, we have, I think, 3 golf courses, and they're all in San Antonio area, none in Houston. So when my daughter goes to Herman Park or Gus Wortham or anywhere, we're paying for rates. And then she's a part of the First Tee program just so that we can try and get discounted. But the only discount you get is range balls. I mean, anyway, that's not your question. I'm sorry.
No, but I think that's important because those are the folks who are going to be the people who keep golf clubs in operation, because the more junior golfer that keeps the sports, attractive, entertaining, right? That's where most people that they embrace golf. So if we're not preparing or creating a path for those folks, then we're not really nurturing the sport. And you aren't the first person to mention something like that. Also, the last folks we had on the podcast talked about accessibility for the golf course, right? Like creating opportunities for more people to get on the course. And if it means junior golfers get to play, at a discounted rate, I think that would be really helpful because if that person makes it, that's more membership or subscribers that you'll get. Your country club or regular municipal golf course. So for you, like how often do you play now? Are you still playing regularly or are you just teaching?
I don't play often at all. I may play
Mm.
holes once a week, maybe twice most. I haven't played 18 holes in God knows how long. I can't tell you the last time I played 18 holes. I just don't I don't waste too much time. I mean, I can still play. I mean, I can hang with the best of the best. I mean, I just don't have the desire because I don't have anyone to really push me. I mean,
Your daughter is getting up there.
she is. She's a great player. We kind of every now and then she may beat me every now and then. She beat me the other day. She shot 2 under par
Wow.
on the golf course, and I shot even. But I mean, we were playing along, and we both running off 7, 8 birdies. I mean, pars in a row,
Yeah.
birdies or something like that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
can't do nothing about that when they do that, uh, but it's not often she's going to beat me. She may beat me once every blue moon, but um,
Does
and
she let you forget it when she does, though?
I'm sorry.
Does she let you forget it when she does beat you?
No, no, because she knows, knows uh, I just come back and let her know who's still the man.
What is that drive home like after she beats you?
Oh man, it's just a regular. I mean, I tell her don't ever get too excited when she can beat me
Okay.
on a regular basis. If she can go out
Okay.
3 or 4 days in a row, or get me to play 3 or 4 days in a row and beat me, then I would be impressed. I would be highly impressed because then I know right now my daughter's one of the best junior golfers around.
Hmm.
I also know that she could be better. She,
Yeah.
she's she's really just that good. However, just going to take a little bit more time.
Where can folks get in touch with you if you are taking on more students? How do they get in touch with you to get lessons? We've only had 2 lessons,
Mhm.
and I nearly broke 90 the other day. So I last week I was playing with this guy, and when we get to 17, he's like, "Have you ever broken 90 before?" I said, "No." He was keeping score.
Mhm.
He's like, "It looks like you're about to break 90." And the minute he said, had he not said it, I would have scored, I think, like 88 on that day. But as soon as he said it, I just started bombing. And so I ended up scoring 91.
Yeah.
But so that's me saying after 2 lessons, I've gained the confidence in the technique that you've helped me with to
Mhm.
be able to like push close to breaking 90. So where can folks get in touch with you?
If someone wanted to really get in touch with me, they can always just. I mean, I like for people to just share my information if they have it, if someone asks. But I don't. I wasn't trying to. Like I said, I'm not trying to take on a lot of students. I have like 4 people that I'm working with.
Okay.
Uh, I can give you my number. It's 832-865-0083. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to, take on a bunch of students. I mean, that's how someone can contact me if they wanted to get a 15-minute, just kind of a insight to what they may be doing. I may have time for something like that, but I don't really have time to teach a lot of different new students. I really don't. I'm really, really focused hardly on traveling with my daughter. She's a great golfer, and I have a few students with yourself, and my job. What I tell you, what I've told you is that in 6 months I'll get you to where you'll be shooting in the low 80s. You'll be shooting in the mid 80s. I mean, within 6 months to a year. I've taken one guy that was a doctor at MD Anderson, and in less than a year he shot in the 70s, and but he worked at it faithfully. And if you do the drills that I give you, or you work on
Yes.
putting and just work on putting, chipping, and hitting the ball, I can guarantee you we're gonna knock 20 shots off your game.
I already see the improvements in the way that I drive, the way that I putt.
Mhm.
Like I've already seen great deal of improvement. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk More Action Golf podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. A big shout out to our producer and creative director, Ajane Josafa, for bringing the show to life. And a special thank you to Sid Mac for our fantastic music. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on your favorite platform. Follow us on social media for the latest update and exclusive content at Let's Talk More Action Golf. I'm your host, Luke Josafa. Until next time, keep swinging easy, and remember, let's talk more action golf. Life's a maze, keep your head high when you going through it. I saw dead bodies licking the eyes of the living, held back cause you held back from making bigger decisions. We get lost, but this journey comes with us down, that's a given. That's a given. That's a given. We get lost, but the journey comes with us down, that's a given. That's a given.
Let's talk more action golf.